my financial reality is entirely up to me. Everything I need to create financial abundance is already inside of me. See, I mentioned to this in a lot of trainings. It applies in a lot of situations, and it definitely applies here. I tell people, in any sales organization, what I found is that you want to infuse your people with confidence. How do you infuse them with confidence? Not only by telling them and showing them that they are champions, by training them. But one of the things that I like to explain it is, think of yourself as a canvas. Excuse me. Think of yourself not as a canvas, but as a sculpture. In a sculpture, what do? They chip away, don't they? Mm-hmm. To create the beauty, to create the art. A canvas, you add to it. You add paint, you put the brush, and all that stuff, right? You are not a canvas, you are a sculpture. So what you're doing as you're chipping away at the things that are holding you back, all the beauty, all the genius, that millionaire, that abundant person, that inspiring person is already inside of you. You just got to chip away at these things that are holding you back. Some of the things that are holding us back are negative beliefs, our paradigm. That's why you're here changing them. Some of the things that are holding you back are family members, friends, neighbors, dream stealers. Some of these dream stealers that you've got are cleverly disguised as friends and family members. You know what I mean? Real talk. See, a lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people hear this and they resent it. Like they resist it. Because they don't want to think of their friends and family members like that. But reality is that not everybody, some of your friends and family members can be very supportive, but the reality is that I found that friends and family members are the ones that can be very brutally, very like almost like bullies. Like, you're wasting your time. Get a real job. Let's say you're trying to start your own business or whatever. You're wasting your time, get your real job, and they criticize you. It's crazy, man. The only reason why we still have a relationship with them is because they're family a lot of times. So, you know, these are the things that you are replacing them with. So all the beauty, all the genius is already inside of you. Number 5, either rich or happy. We talked about this earlier. Either rich or healthy. No, money is just a part of my life that I handle exceptionally well. And I can have both. Remember, the rich person thinks both. I could be rich and healthy. Rich and abundant and generous and spiritual. It's selfish to want a lot of money. Number 6. No. The money I earned is showing the value I created for others. It is not selfish to want a lot of money. The money I created is showing the value that I created for other people. Can we agree that's the case?
Yes.
Yeah. The right to be rich. What will I do? Who will I help? Where will I donate money to? Can I help more people if money was no longer an issue for me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Okay? The desire for riches is really the desire for a richer and fuller and more abundant life. That desire is praiseworthy. It is praiseworthy. Yes, when was it? Yesterday, 2 days ago, my mom was at my house. We were having dinner at my house. My son was there. And I was telling her, we were watching a documentary, and I was telling her about a particular story. And in that particular story was, I was at a karate tournament when I was a kid, and we couldn't afford, remember, Louis? The gloves and the shoes, we used to share them or borrow them all the time. So we'd go and compete, and we used to borrow these shoes and gloves, you know what I mean, to compete. Or we had some ripped up ones. We'd use the ones that everybody uses at the gym, and we'd go and use those to compete because we didn't have any money. I remember, and I'll never forget this lady. Her name is Deanna Birch. She lives in Oregon. Phenomenal woman. She was a mother of some kid that I competed against. She knew because she would see me at tournaments here and there, and I had a sponsor that was sponsors to go because we were good fighters, so they would sponsor our plane tickets, our hotel, and our food, right? But like, no, they would sponsor like our plane tickets and our competition, so we had to have our own money for our own food. Anyways, long story is that she knew I didn't have a lot of money. She knew that I was one of the poorer kids, for sure. This was in Oregon, in a very like a rich area in Oregon. It was her own tournament. It's called the Diamond or Double Diamond something classic, whatever. Anyways, and I remember I didn't have that. So I remember she was on stage, and she said, "I'm giving away these gloves and kicks," they called them, Macho gloves and kicks. It was a new edition. Normally they were 25 bucks each. These happened to be 30 bucks each because it was a new edition. They had extra padding. They were not. Everybody wanted them. Me, I just wanted some that weren't all ripped. So to have that was like 60 bucks, that's a lot of money. Like, I wouldn't even ask my mom for it. My mom couldn't even pay at the time for my karate classes. I used to clean the karate school to pay for my tuition. So that was out of the question. So anyway, when she gives that to me, she knew me. There's probably like 300 people in the tournament, and she's up on stage, like way over there. So she's on the mic saying this, and everybody gets up and they go over there, and everybody's raising their hand because she's gonna give it to somebody. I get up, I'm like sitting on like something, I don't know what it was. I get off of it and I jump and I run. I don't run, I'm walking, and I'm just looking at her, because there's a lot of people that don't want women to know it. But I'm like, if she sees me, if we cross paths, if we look at each other in the eyes, something inside me told me she was gonna give them to me. She looks at me and says, Juan. They used to call me JC, used to call me Juan. Juan, come here. I go up on stage and she gives them to me. Man, I was crying. It gets me emotional now. Because that was so powerful to me that I knew she's gonna hook me up. Because she knows how bad I need it. And I used to compete at every tournament. We used to go eat and stuff, and they used to go to like Denny's. We're like, no, we're good. You know, we'll go eat somewhere else. You know, and I was a kid though. I was probably like 12 years old at the time. So she used to see us with very, like, her clothes was very, like, just, you know, not nice clothes, you know, very humble and all that stuff. But we were great fighters. We were very good. We won a world title. And so that's the only reason why I was able to be at these tournaments, because we actually got sponsors that would help us get there. The point is this, that it says, that desire is praiseworthy. When my mom was at my house, I told her, remember, and I was telling her about a story that she wanted to see me fight. One day she saw me fight for a world title in Hollywood. And I was fighting against that lady's son. And it was a double elimination tournament. I had got disqualified, won. Then it was just me and him at the finals on stage. It's like you can't even see the crowd because all the lights are on you. So you hear everybody, but you can't see them. And when you're fighting, you don't even hear them. Anyways, I'm fighting against this guy in his double elimination. So I smoke him the first one. But the center judge was a judge. His name is Lewis. And so this guy, earlier that year, our school had competed in his tournament against his school. His son competed against me. His name is Brian. And it was for a Sega Dreamcast. Everybody remember the Sega Dreamcast back in the day? So it was a long time ago. So it was for a Sega Dreamcast. Keep in mind, I'm maybe 12, 13 years old, something like that, right? So his son wants it, and it's his tournament. Imagine, you're the dad, your son's competing. Now it's for first and second in the tournament on teams. So it's a small man, little man, small, middle, and big man. I was the middle guy. His son was a middle guy. His team beat every other team. We beat every other team. Then we meet in the finals for the Sega Dreamcast. And we beat them. And we win the Sega Dreamcast. So anyways, for the world title in Hollywood, in my hometown, I was 18 now. I was 18 many years later. I'm fighting for a world title there. Lewis is the center judge, which is the father of that kid I beat in Lewis's tournament. So I smoked this kid the first time, but it's double elimination. So I got to beat him one more time. The score was like 7-1. So I smoked him. And I was like, I had already won a world title the year before that. I'm like 2 in a row. It was like a huge accomplishment. I'm fighting Brandon, who is that lady Deanna's son. Deanna's watching. I'm fighting him. As soon as I get in there, they call a break. Fidel, it was Fidel. Fidel comes, he says, come here, and he grabs me by my gi, right? And then the judge goes and says, you can't touch your fighter, point over. Boom, already 1-0. What? All he did was, come here, and he just pulled my gi, right? Are you kidding me, man? So then I get out there, and then, you know, I'm just like this, you know, he hasn't said nothing, and this guy like throws a kick, and I clearly block it. He just threw it like up high, and I blocked it. He's like, stop. And then he gives him 2 points, but 2 more judges called it. And then my mouthpiece fell or something, and he says, point over. You're not supposed to give points for a mouthpiece falling. Point is, he did like 2-3 things that had me at 4-0. There's like a minute left in the fight. The guy, there's like a certain line, like 1.5 feet away. The guy's like another feet out, away from me. Now he's gonna just fight nothing but defensive. So as I'm just coming in, he's just kicking and throwing himself to the ground. So then he gets up, dusts himself, he fixes his shoe, and the time is running the whole time. And I'm like trying. Anyways, the score ended up being 3-4. I lost. So I ended up catching up, even though this guy was running and doing all that and that. And he ended up winning the world title. His mom comes up to me, literally in tears, not bawling, but in tears, because she knew that her son won, but I got ripped off. You know what I mean? So I mentioned that story, and I mentioned the story of Oregon when that lady, she's a great woman. She knew that her son lost. That's what hurt her. And she knew how hard I worked for it, because you had to compete at tournaments throughout the year to gather up points. And then you fight as a wild card, 5th seed, 4th seed. So if you're a wild card, you fight everybody in the wild card, then you move up to the 5th seed. Only one person advances from every seat. So I was always either a wild card or in the 4th or 5th seed. He was always in the 1st seed. He had like 3 fights to win a world title, 4 fights at most. The most I had was 16 fights in one night, 2-minute fights. They're only 2 minutes, but that's 32 minutes of competing. So my legs were shaking at the end, right? So that particular year I didn't win. So she knew how hard I worked, and I couldn't attend every tournament because if my sponsors didn't sponsor me, I couldn't get there. So I wouldn't rack up the points. Her son had it easy. They had a lot of money. He just would show up sometimes. It was very little competition. He'd win, get a bunch of points. So he would never have to fight them any. So she was heartbroken because of that. So anyways, when I told my mom this and I mentioned about the Oregon story, she says, the good thing is that your son will never have to go through the things you went through, son. And I said, that's right. So I believe for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that it is praiseworthy. Because it's not about the things that happen to me, it's not the things that happen to you. It's about what you will do, what you will leave for your loved ones when you're no longer here. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Not just in money, but in the things that the person that you become on the way to getting rich is way more valuable than your assets, than the money in your bank account. Is what you can leave the people with. Does that make sense, guys? Leave them with the sense of increase, with the impression of increase. So life is meant to be abundant. We live for 3 motives. We live for the body, the mind, and the soul. Real life means the complete expression that man can give forth through the body and the mind and the soul. So let's talk about the body. It says in the Science of Getting Rich, man cannot live fully embodied without good food and comfortable clothing and warm shelter. Rest and recreation is also necessary for his physical life. So it says, pretty much what they're talking about is that these are the things that we can experience in life, and it's good to experience them. So it's praiseworthy to experience it. To come into your full mind. Man cannot live fully without books and time to study them. To live fully in mind, he must have intellectual recreations and must surround himself with the objects of art and beauty he is capable of using and appreciating. So, to live fully in soul, man must have love. And love is denied expression by poverty. This one I really like. A man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits to those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. How many of you guys like giving to your family? Doing for your family? For loved ones? Of course. It says, a man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal benefits of benefits to the people he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. And I'm not talking about money. If money is no longer an issue, if you got a business that pays you whether you're there or not, can you spend more time with your family?
Yes.
Yes. Can you take family on vacations? Have them live in better places? Drive safer cars? Yes. These are the things that you've got to take away. So when people see this at a glance, they think we're just talking about money. Like the love of money. No, it's not money. It's what you can do with the money. We can give more time, love, energy, encouragement, inspiration, and obviously money when money is no longer an issue. Number 2, this is chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. There is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science like algebra and arithmetics. There is certain laws that govern the process of acquiring riches. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by any man, he will get rich with, what's it say? Mathematical certainty. Is that good to know? Think about it. It says whether you apply it on accident or on purpose, right? No, actually it says on the next one. Watch. The ownership of money and poverty comes from doing things a certain way. Those who do these things in a certain way, either on purpose or accidentally, will get rich. And those who don't do these things in a certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, they will remain poor. So it says, whether you do this on accident, you stumble upon it, you end up doing this on accident, or you do it on purpose, you cannot help but get rich. But if you don't, no matter how hard you work, you won't get rich. A lot of people have gotten rich, they never read the book, but guess what? They were applying the principles here, unconsciously. For instance, gratitude is one of the chapters. People that cultivate gratitude all the time, they're always grateful. They always look for the things to be grateful for. I'm so grateful. Like this morning I woke up early. I went and get a haircut early, right out of the room. Yeah. So it was cold in the morning, not my house. My house was warm, I got the heater on. But I was grateful. I love coffee. Ever since I was in the coffee, I love coffee. I go to sleep at night, I go to sleep grateful. I think in my mind the things. I need to say them more often out loud. I recommend you guys do that. Anyways, and I think of little things like, I'm going to get up in the morning, it's going to be cold, but I'm going to appreciate the weather because I'm going to be drinking a coffee. I got a thermal there, I got some healthy coffee there that I love, that I drink every morning. I'm going to make me a coffee, I'm going to go cut my hair, and I'm going to have a fantastic day. Then after the training, I'm going to go work out and hang out with my son. And then my girl and I are going to go watch Cormier beat John Jones and become the light heavyweight champion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Not gonna happen.
Maybe you will, maybe you won't. That's a coin flip. But here's the thing though, the point is that I'm grateful for things that are yet to happen. Last training I did, that's what I said. Watch, I'm gonna have, last training I did, it's gonna be on CD. It's different than this one. Okay, we are gonna talk about a lot of the same things we did on the other one, but it's law of attraction, you know? The thing is, in that one I said, I got up at 6 in the morning. I finished this training. I did this training now. I'm going to go to Downey High School, and I'm going to run a couple of miles. Then I'm going to go home and relax and decide what I'm going to do for the night. At the time I was single, so I was like, I'm going to go out and, to town and find a little trouble to get into. You know what I'm saying? Number 2, there is a science of getting rich. Let's talk about talent. It is not about talent. Many people who have a lot of talent stay poor, while people who have very little talent often get rich. Now, talent does help, but it's not talent. So don't think you got to be the most talented person in the world to get rich, because you don't. Here's one thing I teach people. Recruit your weakness. Donald Trump, I learned that from Donald Trump. I listen to audios and I read books from people that I admire that have things that I want. Donald Trump teaches recruit your weakness. See, if you're not the most, let's say for instance, you're not the best speaker, and your business requires speaking, could you recruit a speaker?
Yes.
Yeah. You got to impress that in your mind, declare it. Most people, they will, oh, I'd like to have a great speaker in my team, but they never even put it in their mind, the impression, the picture of a speaker in their mind that they want to attract, so they never start the creative process. So, you can recruit your weakness. For instance, think about it like this. He says, recruit your weakness and pay them more than you pay yourself if you have to. That is powerful. Check it out. Let me give you an example. Some of you guys might be like, well, I don't know about that. I do know about that. Watch. Tell me if you agree with me. Let's say you got a business, and in that business you're making $10,000 a month. Now you got Joe. Joe's like a stud, sharper than you in that particular field. And Joe can take you to a net profit of $35,000 a month. But you got to start paying Joe. Out of those $35,000, Joe keeps 20. You still have left over how much?
15.
15. Was that a good deal?
Yep.
Yeah. You were stuck at 10 without him. Yep. You're paying him more than you. See, your ego will cost you a lot of money. Your ego will cost you a lot of money. See, if my ego, in that situation, let's say that was me and my ego was involved, being like, how the hell am I going to pay somebody more? No, not happening. That's ego talking. See, on the other hand, I'm like, you can do this many sales? Let's say he comes. If I do this many sales, blah, 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 I need to get paid $20,000 a month. And you realize that many sales is $35,000 net profit. Crap. I'm making $10,000 right now. You know what, Joe? I think we can work some out. I'll give that to you. Joe don't have to know how much you're making and how much he's making, but you know you went from 10 to 15. Was that smart or dumb?
Smart.
You're getting paid off the efforts of other people. So recruit.